What's up, YouTube, and welcome to the MC's Unscripted, where we talk to artists, entertainers, and behind-the-scenes decision makers who are some of the best at what they do. My name is Doug, aka Bruce Lively, and YouTube. Our guest today is one of the most respected, honored, and influential executives in hip-hop music in Atlanta in the past, present, and guaranteed in the future. Period. Someone who has worked with and helped to shape the careers of people like Killer Mike, Janelle Monae, Outkast, KP the Great. As a matter of fact,
David Banner.
Entire 15th floor of LaFace Records at one time or another has been influenced by this woman and probably owes something in their careers to this woman, whether they know it or not. And the most interesting thing is, I'm pretty sure she'll deny all of that. Maybe half of it at least. Because as far as I can tell, YouTube, as far as I can tell, she's as humble as she is talented. To the point where that humility has completely changed the entire direction of this interview from the way I wanted to go, and I'll tell you about that, okay? Right after I introduce the queen, to be honored and respected as such, Regina Davenport. How are you, my dear?
Man, that intro, thank you so much. It was fit for a queen.
Yes, exactly. And that was
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for saying yes, for giving us the opportunity at our little channel here to interview someone of your caliber. I really do appreciate it. The reason why I said I changed up my whole outlook or approach to the interviews, because usually this channel is all about, really it's about music education, music business education, especially when dealing with people like you. But in noticing that you have no interviews anywhere, you have no presence, you aren't out there, you're not bigging up yourself, you, queen, deserve the flowers.
Oh, thank you.
You deserve the flowers, and you haven't gotten them because you don't ever ask for them yourself. So today, my job is not to only go in depth and ask all the questions and try to get the knowledge that you have, but also to give you the praise that you deserve and that you never ask for. And I hope it comes through today. How you feel about that?
I feel awesome about it.
So before we even get started, number one, it pains me to say it, but just your background there is going to remind me how you feel the 49ers are in the Super Bowl. Yay, yay, yay.
Bang, bang.
You get it. You deserve it. We have to have sportsmanship, and I wanted my Green Bay Packers to get in there.
Oh, that's a great rivalry, right?
Yes. All the NFC rivalries. So how do you feel about that? Are you a big-time football fan?
You know what? I am, but I haven't been since the whole Kaepernick thing. I laid off for a while, so I'm slowly getting back to it. But I'm always a Niner fan, always.
Okay.
Even when I'm not watching.
Which is crazy because you came down to Atlanta, what? Years ago. You weren't even in the 90s, right? And you're still holding on to this 49ers, huh?
Yes. I'm always be proud fake. Even though at this point I've lived in Georgia longer than I lived in California.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. but you know, I'm talking like I haven't done the same thing. I'm still a Green Bay fan, even though I've been here since I was 15. So I hear it. So congratulations going to the Super Bowl. I'm not sure who I'll be rooting for, but I'll think about rooting for the Niners. You guys look good. So speaking of moving from the Bay to here, I heard in the interview that you came to Atlanta mainly because you wanted to go to an HBCU, right? That's the case?
Yep, that is true.
All right. You applied for a Spelman and Clark. Clark accepted you. You came here and started working, and then Spelman accepted you.
Mm-hmm.
So before we get into those people know, because you've already said that in an interview with Patchwork. What I want to know is, can you talk about why an HBCU specifically is so important to you?
It was important to me because coming from the West Coast, we had Black history, but it wasn't as enriching as it is in the South. And just watching HBCUs and seeing the spirit of it all and learning and knowing history, I just wanted to be a part of it. I wanted to be educated in that manner.
Awesome, awesome. Do they have? Well, they don't have it. Do they have any HBCUs?
None.
None. Not one. Wow.
Think about it. Not on the East Coast either. Like in New York, there are no HBCUs there, are there? No.
There's a reason for that. Now that you say it, of course there wouldn't be. Because the reason that we have HBCUs is because they wouldn't allow Black people into colleges in the South, in those regions. So they had to get their own, and they had to create their own. And that's why we have them. So that makes sense. I just never even thought about it like that. But of course. Wow. So
and some of them here actually, in I think Atlanta, the HBCU system, the area where it is now has changed so much. A lot of HBCUs too, as well, or a few I know. Those were schools that after slavery, they built them to educate, former slaves, and
yep.
they lived in those areas. Like in Atlanta at one point, that was where the projects and things were. So you can see the correlation of why they built it and how it was there. But things have changed a lot.
Exactly, and they have
in that area.
I think we've lost Howard. They lost their accreditation years ago, but before that, I think Atlanta had the most HBCUs in it than any other place. Cool breeze. Okay, so coming here, you went to Spelman. You said they accepted you after you started working. I wanted to know the timeline. How long was it in between starting to work? And you started with LaFace. Was that correct? This was your first gig. Between coming here, started working, and then that acceptance.
Maybe about a year and a half. About a year, I think, actually.
Okay.
Yes, because my only one of my sons was in school. So yes, about a year.
Then you had a year in Spelman? So that means somehow you went in 2 years from landing here, getting the receptionist job, to somehow being dual, so receptionist / A&R assistant for KP in 2 years?
Yeah, well, KP came in my, I think my third year of LaFace. So yeah, that was about 3 year span.
About a 3 year span. Okay. So why did you leave Spelman? I'm assuming it's to work, but you can tell me.
It was to work. Well, at the time, I didn't have a vehicle. I had 2 small children, one in elementary, one in daycare. So imagine, I lived in Doraville, so I had to take the bus at like 5 or 6 in the morning.
Wow.
Drop one to daycare, get someone to take the other one to school, go from Doraville to Spelman on the bus and train, leave Spelman, get back on the bus, go to LaFace, work 8 hours, get off from LaFace, get back on the bus and train, pick up the kids from daycare, and then come back home.
Wow.
And sometimes stop at the grocery store on the way home, and we will walk because the bus wasn't coming. Damn! Right. And it just was a lot with 2 small children and no vehicle.
Wow. Okay, so I see it now because I was enamored with, again, the only interview I saw, the one that you had at Patchwork, when you said it was work stopped you, and if some of the people, most of the people I talked to met you as you were already transitioning from receptionist to an assistant, and I was like, that's really fast.
Well, it wasn't fast.
but I guess not. I guess not. So I have a quote. I want to see if you can see who said this. She never works down to the dollar amount. She works up to a standard. When I asked him how were you noticed from the receptionist to becoming an assistant to an A&R that quickly, how was she noticed? And that was one of his answers. We'll get into who do you think that is.
Was it Shelton?
No.
My God. Was it?
I gave you two
Was
more.
it someone at LaFace?
Yes, it was that.
It was.
Yep.
Okay. Was it? I don't know.
Tony Mercedes.
Oh God, he's my guy.
He's all right, and it came across in our conversation. I actually did an interview with him last year.
Really?
Yeah, so luckily I still had his number, and I talked to him. I said, "Hey, I'm doing a interview with Regina, and I wanted to know, get some insight." And that was the very first thing he said. He was like, "Man, you have no idea. She has a standard. It wasn't about being a receptionist or an assistant. From the moment that he met you, at least, it was about you working up to a standard all the time." All the time.
Man, that's good to hear because he is such a good person.
Yes, he is.
Business savvy. He is awesome. Like, I think some of the greatest times I had at LaFace was with Tony. Like, he just kept me laughing because he is, you know how people say keep it 100?
That's him.
He keeps it 1,000. And people can't take it. People say they wanted 100, but they really want like 55, 60 maybe, right?
He said he was a little more gangster back then. He's
but he was still good. He was.
Oh,
that's awesome.
That is awesome. So, flowers. Queen, according to everyone, including him, that working, that standard, right? You were always the one people could count on to go the extra mile for everyone who asked, above and beyond. Like, there's education in here, to be sure, right? But it's a nuanced one. I wonder if, for instance, how much the stopping Spelman for the year was, you, instead of work being too much or the time being too much, was it you prioritizing work, saying this is more important now? Or could it have just been just your nature to go above and beyond? Was it just circumstance? There's education in that I'd like to explore.
I think it was, I really think a lot of it was survival and being a single parent and having to make a hard choice because it had always been my dream to go to Spelman.
Right.
And so to have to choose between that and being able to be there, like, for my kids and to work full time, I had to choose.
Wow.
Now, I think if I had a vehicle, it would have been different.
Okay. Would you have changed it?
I think if I had
if you knew what you knew now, would it still have been different?
I think if I knew what I knew now, it would have been different. It would have, and I had a vehicle, it would have been different.
Okay.
Because we're talking about getting up from 6 a.m. and not getting home sometime till like 9, or so at night.
You would have been able to do both for sure.
Yeah.
You had the car, period.
The one thing I learned quickly in Atlanta is that back then, and it's still kind of now because I don't think it's improved that much, is that it takes all day to do something if you don't have a vehicle.
Yep. It takes all.
Because the buses don't run as fast.
The buses don't run regularly or as fast. Things may have changed a little bit. It's gotten a little bit faster since before when I first came here. But I came from Chicago, and it's 5 minutes that you wait anywhere. You stand on the corner, 5 minutes, the bus is coming, and you'll get anywhere in 30 minutes, all the way downtown to the suburbs, period. Right? That's not here. That is not.
No, and that's what I came from too, coming from San Francisco.
Yeah.
Bus is there 5 minutes. If the bus takes longer than 5 minutes, it's a problem.
It's a problem. People get mad, people looking at what's going on.
Yeah, they're usually 3 to 5 minutes, but
here people just settle
here's
in.
45, an hour.
People just settle in. They sit down like, I don't know when it's coming. I just know when I get here at this time, I know I can get to work around the right. Wow. So
yeah, that was a big adjustment.
Raising your children there, and that being the decision made kind of brings me exactly to this. I want you to hear something. That's the perfect segue.
This is so awesome.
You deserve so much. I want to make sure that I do you right. Let's see. Listen to this. Let me get your reaction.
Oh. Okay.
We got to see single-handedly, this woman was working her butt off and looking after her boys, in between doing her duties, helping them get their homework done because she had work until 7 o'clock. You don't want to be doing homework past that time when you're getting home, trying to feed your kids. You know what I mean? So I saw the struggle.
That's amazing. So she's doing all of this. She's doing all of this and still find time to help with homework while on the job.
And like I said, I saw this woman, and I don't think that there was a soul in that company that either did not like her or would have had anything negative to say about her. She was just that amazing a human being.
Wow.
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 So I want you to understand why it's important for me to give you these flowers, because I'm not sure anybody ever takes the time or would have taken the time to tell you that, because you've been working this whole time. You've been assisting, you've been A&Ring, you've been doing you, being a queen. How? Well, I can see how that feels. That's Shelton, by the way.
I know. Here's one. Oh man, him and Tony.
And those are the only two that agreed to give a name. So before we get to the music and the musical relationships, because that's what the channel's about, you'd bring your boys in and help them with their homework while going above and beyond. Single motherhood. What drove that work ethic? And if it's just single motherhood, that is amazing in itself. Can you talk about it? What's your reaction to hearing
Yes, man, that actually brought tears to my eyes. And my work ethic comes from my mom, because she was a single parent too. And I watched her work hard for me and my two sisters. And she was like a stand-up woman. Like, she had a mouth like a sailor, but a heart of gold. And I think a lot of what's in me came from her. So just hearing that about my boys, and it just brought back memories. I had to bring them to work. And after school, I picked them up, come back on my lunch hour, go pick them up, come back, and they were maybe 4 or 5 and 5 and 7 or something like that.
Right.
LaFace had this big L-shaped or U-shaped desk, right?
Right.
So while I'm sitting there answering the phones, they'd be under the desk. Under the desk, just hanging out, chilling, doing homework, because like I had to work late and there was no daycare that would keep them. So
that is crazy.
It is, but the beauty in it is that LaFace was a Black-owned company, and they understood that I was a single parent. And LA didn't complain about, no, her kids can't be under there. Like they knew that it's what I had to do to take care of them.
Did you know that? Now looking back on it, did you know that people noticed that? Because I'm sure to you it was just a regular day. You did what you had to do. But
you didn't know that people noticed like that.
And yeah, people took that into account. Most of the times, I think another education is understanding that people are watching, right? What you're doing. If YouTube, if you're watching this, and we have a lot of music education students here, some teachers, understand that people are watching. That your ethic, your drive, who you are is being noticed even when you don't think so. I think that has a lot to do with how far you're gonna get. You can't turn it on and turn it off when people are there because they notice that. And from what I hear, you weren't only the mother of those kids, you were the mother of the office.
And hearing you say that, there's something I always say. I say that we're all role models, right? And we don't have a choice. You can't say I'm not a role model because you can't control who decides to look up to you, right?
Right.
The only choice you have is if you're going to be a positive or a negative influence.
Wow. Awesome. That's a jewel. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
It's a jewel. Okay. Let's get into a little bit of the office. The office. Before we get into, well, it is music. We're going to get a little bit of the office. You started, everybody saw that you were amazing. They saw that you were hardworking. They saw that you went above and beyond. And you became an assistant to KP. Now, KP and Shanti Das, were the two A&R people, the main A&R people, correct?
KP was A&R, but Shanti was actually promotions.
Oh, okay. That's clarifying. So, did you know that Shanti just won the A.D. Washington Chairman's Award?
No.
For her work? And she won it just last year. So just to let you know, she hasn't stopped. She's been going into mental health. I know some people have noticed. I think she wrote a couple books. Okay. And all of these amazing things. I was just wondering, what do you think about if you saw it? But you didn't know that she won that award. But just her transition from the music to being who and what she is in the community and getting noticed for it. How does that make you feel?
I think it's beautiful because she was bold and brave enough to step out and talk about mental health in the Black community when it wasn't a popular thing.
Well, before it was popular.
And she was faithful enough to know that was the calling that God gave her. And she was bold enough to step in and run with it. So I applaud her for it. She is doing an amazing job and has been for years.
For years. She just never stopped. The book, then the outreach, and then she's doing something in politics, and then she's traveling and doing outreach in Canada and Europe. And I'm like, wow. So that was awesome.
God equips the called. He called her and he equipped her, and she is running with it.
Wow, I like that. God equips the called. I like that. Okay. All right. So in the office as well, I got another quote. Tony, Mr. Mercedes, he says, I don't think she even knows how much she means to me. She's the type to go above and beyond to make me look good without so much as a hesitation and never even ask for a thank you in return. She has the most beautiful spirit, and I can't say enough beautiful things about her. I have never heard, again, anyone ever have a bad thing to say about her. And then he threatened me because he said if this was bad, he was going to fly over here and beat me up. And yeah, Tony, I'm spilling the tea on you if you see this.
That is funny.
And he was serious. This was not a joke.
Yeah, no, if he said it, he meant it.
Right. So to inspire that kind of violence, Tony, this guy, but to inspire that, right, is amazing. And we can talk about, you said your faith, your mother, you gave me that answer already. But here comes the harder part. There's a little harder question that I want to say. To be that person when there were a few other peoples who said that environment wasn't so loving there, that there was more stress, and for names like Devitt Singletary.
Oh,
I just want to get to the truth before we even talk about them. How did you keep that in a place like that, if it was that? But how did you keep that spirit, that no one ever, in a place where everybody's trying to get in, someone in the back, or everybody's trying to make a maneuver, everybody has somebody who's digging on them, and toxicity? How did you keep that?
First, before I tell you that, let me say about Devitt. Devitt Singletary, God rest her soul, was such a force at LaFace Records, and she was such a role model for me. Like, she walked with her head up and her chest out, and she was confident in who she was. And she made me want to be more and do more. Like, she was amazing. At a time when I got to LaFace, there were maybe 2 or 3 departments, and she was the head of the publicity and marketing, all that was one department under Devitt. But by the time we left, it had broken off to maybe 4 or 5 departments. So this one woman and her assistant, Curtis Tucker, who's another powerhouse, she went on to run Aftermath.
Oh, really?
And those two ran all those departments that LaFace broke up into 4 or 5 different departments later on. So they were very inspirational to me. And so what I would like to say about your question is, a lot of that stuff I didn't know was going on, because you know why? I just was in my own world. Because I had kids and I had to go home and take care of my kids. So I wasn't focused on what was happening or who was doing what or whatever was happening. Yeah. And people would sometimes ask me, Regina, did you know? I was like, no. Yes, you did. Actually, I didn't. Because I
You see these kids under the desk? I didn't know.
There's a lot going on in my world right now.
Right.
So I just kind of stayed on the path that God gave me. And I think he protected me from a lot of that, because I never got any of it and didn't know about probably 95% of it. So
I'll say, because
she commanded perfection, though, for real.
Yeah.
But she should have. That's how LaFace got to be the great. That's part of how LaFace was as great as it is. She commanded
and demanded
perfection, or that you rise to the occasion, as she should.
Wow.
As she should. So I just didn't get that. I didn't get that from her. And I had interactions with her.
Yeah. That's absolutely amazing. Wow. Awesome perspective. Thank you so much for that. Wow. So, you take what you will from that, YouTube. There's an education in that right there. Tell me about the Bahamas. What's happening in the Bahamas, Regina? And folks was imitating people in the office.
Oh, Tony Mercedes is a ham. I told you.
Go ahead. I want the tea. Give me the tea. This is not educational.
We had some, you know what though? We had some amazing team building experiences. I remember they called our names and separated us. They said, okay, hypothetically, they'll say, Regina, okay, you go to the left. Tony, you go to the right. Mm-hmm. Shelton, you go to the left. Roy, you go to the right. They would separate us left and right. We were like, what's happening, right? But what happened is after they got everybody separated, all the people on the right, were like, oh yeah, just going all in, right?
Right.
And all the people on the left were just kind of looking at them like, what is happening? Then they explained to us, we separated you because we wanted you to see that this side of the room are introverts and this side is extroverts.
Oh, wow.
That was the most clear lesson in seeing the difference between the two.
Wow.
It was amazing, but they bought
what side
to help us with those.
What side were you on?
I was on the introverted side.
Okay. All right, just making sure.
Man, yeah, I was on the introverted side, but I've grown a lot since then.
No wonder Shelton couldn't remember you being on his team.
Oh man, we did some great team building experiences though.
That's awesome. Now that you said that, I want some tea. I want to know who imitated who. Give me something. I want a story.
Tony Mercedes was imitating Dorsey, I think. Tony is a ham, but everyone knew. Like, Tony is so funny, and that's why I think there was balance in it for me.
Okay.
That there was laughter, there was hard work, there was frustration. But at the end of the day, it was a bunch of people that looked alike, working toward a common goal, putting out some legendary acts and amazing projects. And the young people, like a lot of young people in their 20s, with the guidance of, like Dorsey, LA, and Scott at one point, like, there was a lot of young people there. And
yeah.
I always say that LaFace was the best boot camp ever to start in music, ever. I learned so much. I learned about class, everything.
I'm learning that in all of the different aspects, or in all of what everybody has told me, it's the outlook and perspective that makes it or breaks it.
I was just about to say that. It's perspective.
Wow.
Everyone's view and outlook is different.
Seemed to me that you were focused on decency. You were focused on a check for your children, but as well as being the best at what you did, and learning to do more, and all the other stuff can go to the wayside, quite frankly.
And standing on what I believe in and no compromising.
You seem to have a legacy and a spirit that's beyond reproach. I wanted you to know that.
Thank you.
No matter what everybody else said about this person or that person, and there was some other messiness going on there, but I'm gonna let that go because, quite frankly, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It don't matter. It would have been. It was gonna be a fun thing to talk about, or maybe not fun. Really.
You were probably going to enlighten me on some stuff because, like I said,
and I ended up. That's why I'm not even gonna do it, because the truth is, you had a perspective. You were above it all, and that's how. Like, one of my questions was, how did you keep this legacy and spirit beyond reproach? And the answer is, you were above it all. You didn't. You were there for something different. You had a standard. As Tony said. Wow. Awesome.
And I had kids. I may have been the only person at that time besides LA that had kids at LaFace.
Because everyone was young.
Yeah.
Now, that's another thing. No, I wasn't even going to say this quote. You were the only person that when you said, hey, Tony, don't do that. No matter how gangster he thought he was and older than you, and he came in as a millionaire, he would obey. And that was the word he used, obey. That's a mothering spirit that you know is coming from love. And to be so young in a place full of young people, did you it may be just natural to you, but how did you get that rapport with all of the ages? How did people end up looking up to you like that? And maybe you've already answered this as well.
I don't know, because I'm kind of floored that was happening, because I really just was being who I am, but I don't know why. I don't.
You said that God equips you.
He does.
For your journey, or for your purpose?
It's my calling.
For your calling.
It's my gift. I think my gift is just giving and people. And I've always been like that since I was a little bitty kid. Like my sister sometimes used to tease me and call me Honest Abe, But I've always just kind of been that person. And again, I'm going to tie it back to my mom. She was like that. Mm-hmm. A lot of it, I think, came from just my mom. And even though she never took us to church, she had a heart of gold.
Was she the neighborhood mom?
She was. She would give it to you either way.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I got the utmost respect for her, and like I said, I know that she and Roy got a chance to work together and actually get quite close. You know what I mean? Mm. And I'm sure she would, in her own way, have really appreciated, because, he didn't have to do that. Yeah. But he said, look, no, come on. I'll show you how to do this and make you see that it's not that daunting. You can do this.
Roy Ayers Jr., the third, but they called him Junior. He was an A&R admin. Mm-hmm. And before you got, or maybe at the same time, you got approached by Outkast to join Purple Ribbon to be the main A&R person for that company. You went to him for advice on how, or to teach you how to do some of these things. I have two questions. Mm-hmm. One, what did Roy, because he's now passed, and what did that mean to you that he did that? Number two, were you always an assistant until that move, or had you already become an A&R and then just needed more on the A&R admin side?
Okay. At that time, I had not done A&R as the head A&R. I had been a A&R coordinator for KP, but I hadn't done gotten any credit as the main A&R person. So when Outkast approached me and asked me to come work for them, I had to do admin as well. I had done some admin at LaFace, but mostly on the coordination side. So Roy, I talked to Roy about it, and he agreed to train me, and he would come over and train me. We would have our time together in the office, him showing me what to do, laughing.
Yeah.
He was a really good dude. He was another one that's 1,000%. All gas. But you need those people in your life who keep it 1,000. You really do. It's the balance. I like it.
But all the stories I've heard of him, man, he was a good one. He was definitely one of those.
He had the healthiest laugh. I can still hear it, man.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So, in education, outside of that, Roy Ayers Jr., Roy Ayers III, taught you about A&R admin. I know that there's quite a few people, you guys out there at YouTube, that would love to know the difference. Give me an education on A&R assistant versus A&R head versus A&R admin. Let's start with assistant versus head. What are we doing? What are the differences of your job description?
Okay, so the A&R assistant or coordinator is the person who, for the recording project, will do the lyrics, credits, book sessions, gather paperwork, and pass it on to admin. And administration is where they take the lyrics credits, they pay the artists, they handle all the legal paperwork, and they set up or start the process of negotiating, or what the deal is going to be for the lawyers to negotiate.
Lawyers to negotiate.
Wait, hold on, no. They give the information to the lawyers to negotiate the deal. Now, the person who is the A&R, they deal directly with the artists, and they help execute or sometimes help shape the vision of the recording project.
Got you.
So what that album is going to look like, what it's going to, not what it's going to look like, more so what it's going to sound like. Who are we going to pull in on this project? What is this project, going to be? So the A&R is over the recording, or the artist and repertoire, the artist and their music, and the shaping, or not kind of shaping, but bringing the project together from recording, from idea to recording, or through recording. Okay.
Number one, if you're an A&R admin, she said to negotiate a deal with who? With the label that you're already with studios, with who's? What's happening with the negotiation at that?
They draw up the contracts for. Say an artist may have a feature. So there is a agreement that they have to come to terms in the agreement. So A&R admin starts that process. The lawyer does the agreement, but and the administration part is where the numbers, or suggested deal starts.
Okay. Some of this funding you get from investors as well. Am I correct about that?
From your distributor.
From your distributor, okay. From the parent.
Maybe today investors, but then from your distributor.
And the distributor is the parent company, or is it just the equal company? Okay.
So LaFace, Arista. LaFace was under Arista, and Arista was under, I think, BMG at the time.
Yeah, that's right. And man, they got swallowed up. There is no more Arista anymore, I don't think. Yeah. They also they did Puffy's deal too, right? At first.
What people don't know that is Puffy actually was a A&R consultant at LaFace before he got his deal. Right.
Wait a minute.
When they fired him from Uptown, he came to LA, took him in, and he was at LaFace. That's how he got involved in the first Outkast single. I think it was Players Ball.
Yeah. Breaking news, people.
Yeah, he got his deal after.
Wow, I don't think
a consultant at LaFace.
There's not many people who know that one.
Which means that LA had to have something to do with his deal,
right?
Or at least some influence, I should say.
Oh yeah,
so was with Bad Boy was there too.
Yeah, if I know, I mean, Mr. Reed himself isn't. I'm sure not just gonna let that go without also having some sort of hand in it. I wouldn't think, especially since Arista also was with you guys. So I mean, you're not just gonna go around the corner and grab that. Hey,
now see that I don't know.
You don't need to know. You said enough. We're gonna let the comment section speculate. We're gonna let the comment. But wow, that's cool. All right, so now you've gotten trained by Roy on the admin side, understanding how to deal with budgets, and you also went to Spelman to be a what is that? Finance.
Accounting was my main.
Accounting. And and you find yourself continuously doing accounting, even though you don't like it. I know.
That's crazy, right? I didn't. I did not like math in school. I didn't like taking accounting. I don't even know why I chose that. But the funny part is now I love numbers.
Really? You actually have grown
Yes,
up?
it's been a turn. I'm like, okay, I get it. I see it's my gift. All right.
Wait, so when did that happen? I know even up to 3 years ago, I think I heard you say that you wasn't.
I wasn't. It has literally probably been in the last. I think I have embraced it in the last 5 years, probably.
Okay.
Like I'm kind of like, yeah, I don't like it, but I do it. But
Now you've embraced it.
I embrace it. Like we'll be in the store sometimes, and my friends now, because I can just like do the math in my head, they'll come and go, hey, okay, how much is this with 30% off? And I'll be like, oh, it's $20. And they're like, I'm not your human calculator though, but
Yeah. But that's what happens. People are gonna be like, if you
yeah, they're like, oh, just go ask Gina. Like,
go ask for Gina. To the next one here, I want to know. Let's get into some of these artists that you've worked with. All right, as an executive, you move over to Purple Ribbon. Everyone's gonna want to hear about Outkast. I know. But first, I want to talk about Killer Mike. Just won a Grammy for his outstanding work on his last album. And to me, the question that I want to know is not about the signing and not about the music as much, but about the music and politics. He has married them. He's stumping for Bernie. He's a gun rights advocate. He's on NPR and he's doing the barbershop for black causes. And you can't pin him down, right? In politics. But what is your opinion of that? Him. I want you to talk about what you see in that music and politics marriage that he has. And overall, a broader question is, do artists have an obligation to be more than the music at some point when they have a platform to do so? Or is it just a free-for-all? That's something you can do if you want. Both of those. We'll talk about Killer Mike and his overarching politics and what you think about that idea, and then afterwards we'll talk about the broader implications.
From the time I've known Killer Mike, that's always who he's been. He's always been educated. He's always had an opinion, and he's always spoken on it. Like, if you listen to his earlier records, he talks about different subjects and things in his records. It's who he is. And I think people just don't pay attention until they pay attention.
Right.
So, like, it being 20 years later and now he's having his moment is an amazing thing. But he's always been gifted. It's always been there. But you know how we talk about God, I just think even though we wanted it to be his time, it wasn't his appointed time.
Right.
But here and now, it's his appointed time.
And now is needed. Now he is needed. His voice is needed. And I think anybody who's a hip hop head would tell you, yeah, Killer Mike has always been conscious, always had more to say in his rap. I think the bigger surprise is not just, tweeting or rapping, but stumping and speaking on this becomes a whole different political game. Endorsing, like, these become the difference between the message on an album and going out there and saying, okay, these are tools we need to use, these are steps we need to take, and guiding direction as well as in actual political fields was something that not a lot of artists can do, quite frankly. So I think that's what people maybe not have known, because anybody who's a hip hop head knows that was about that. But I don't think we knew that he was living that. Right?
Man.
Willing to be out there.
The music tells the story. You have to listen. Killer's drama is similar to Osama.
Wow.
His lyrics, like they reflected it back then.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm proud of that guy, man. I hope to be able to interview him one day too. We'd have a lot to talk about.
Yeah, man.
Okay,
He's one
so
of the ones I'm proud of.
yeah. So your opinion on overall, the more important thing to me is that a requirement?
Is it a
That a
requirement?
Do you need to make sure that if you in the 90s we had the big deal was, well, gangster rap is hurting the community. The other side would say, no, they're telling the stories of the community that you don't want to hear.
Mm-hmm.
But then there comes a point in your platform where you become Nipsey or Ice Cube, or you become the bad guy no matter what you're talking about, because you need to recognize that now that you have this platform, you have an obligation. True, false?
I'm going to say false
Okay.
because I don't think that we're obligated to do things to please or appease other people. I think if this platform is your calling and you're gifted in that area, you should walk in it. But I don't think that we should be obligated. David Banner, who is one of my best friends, little big brother, he says that, and I believe this, we put too much pressure and influence. No, not influence. We look too much to rappers to resolve our political problems.
Got you.
Their job is entertaining. We have politicians, we have other people to do things. You don't call a doctor, like you said, to debate what rap is, right?
Right.
As you wouldn't call a rapper to operate. Like, I think as individuals, you do your part, but do I think you're obligated? I think you're obligated to what God called you to do. I don't know that you're obligated to anyone unless you gave birth to them.
Wow. That's a statement. Outstanding. Speaking of David Banner, you're in charge of Banner Vision. Is that true? Are you running Banner Vision?
I am the general manager there. I do help them on the company.
We helped to. Okay. Talk about that. Talk about Banner Vision. What is Banner Vision?
I'm going to say David Banner is it's been so good to work with him. And I'm stumbling over my words because the growth that I've experienced working with him is amazing. Like I was very introverted, and he really pushed me to no, go out there and do it. People need to see you and who you are. I'm like, no, I don't want to. He was like, yeah, we're going to do this podcast and you're going to be a guest. So I'm like, I'm not. And he pushed me, and I was terrified to do it.
Yeah.
It was me amongst three very strong, not against, but working with three very strong,
yeah. No, you didn't say against.
Smart and respectable alpha males.
Yeah.
And they never disrespected me. And I held my own amongst them. But it helped me grow. A coach of mine said to me before, she was like, well, just tell me something about yourself. And I'm like, well, I'm an introvert. She said, Mommy, stop saying that. I said, what do you mean? I am an introvert. She said, no, Mommy, you're not an introvert. You just haven't decided to show up yet.
Oh.
And I said, ooh, you are absolutely right. And since she said that, I've been showing up.
Outstanding. So, can I get an overview? What is Banner Vision?
Banner Vision is a multimedia company. Banner does producing, he does commercial, he does public speaking, and is acting, and now is getting back to performing as well.
David Banner.
David Banner.
Wow.
David Banner is another one who unapologetically speaks out and stands for our people. What remember, we had Malcolm and Martin and Hosea, right?
Yeah.
They all came from the southern region. We now have, and they all live in Atlanta. The three people who have been so influential in our movement as a people has been Tip,
Yep,
Banner, and Killer Mike, right? All three of them, two of them hail from Atlanta, Georgia, and one resides here. But all three of them have, not intentionally, but picked up that torch and have carried us further. I applaud them.
Have you, or at least even right now, just in saying that, it seems almost inevitable to someone like me who's been watching your career and throwing flowers at you for an hour and 10 minutes, that of course you would be involved in some way with two of the three, if not three of the three people speaking out for our people. Just like you wanted to be in the HBCU when you first got here, and that was important to you. Just like you mothered a company that had as many young people as it did old running things. Just like you brought those children from under the desk to where they are now, which is also successful from what I hear. It seems inevitable that you would be with those. How does that feel to you to hear that, or to notice that, or have you noticed that before? Like this is that's exactly where you knew you would be.
I think I've always known it, but I think I've ran from it and hid myself from it, because I never liked to be in the light. I always wanted to be the person behind and just help push people and propel them. But in that, I learned that God gave me gifts too, right?
Yeah.
And I turned my light down to help other people and push them so that their light shines. But I learned in doing that when I do that, I do a disservice to myself and that I dishonor God. Because he gave me a light, and I too have to let my light shine.
Have you been letting your light shine?
I have been letting my light shine.
How so?
I've just been more vocal, like doing this interview.
Okay.
Saying yes to what would have been no, and just like stepping out and being bold and confident, more so confirmed in who I am and where I'm supposed to be, or what I'm supposed to be doing.
Awesome. Outstanding. That's an education right there. That's an education. I was going to bring up Janelle Monae, but really quick, isn't she awesome? I heard that you were the one that found her.
Well, I signed her to Purple Ribbon. We actually signed Scar first. He was a R&B artist. And he was one of the artists in the Wonderland clique. Okay. And Janelle was in Wonderland too. So originally, I would go see them perform, or go to Wonderland and hang out. And Scar was doing this show, and Janelle agreed we hire her to do backgrounds for Scar. And as she was singing background, it just became more and more evident. You know how we talk about that light?
Yep.
Like that she had that light. And
she's got that light.
Yeah, I was like, man, we gotta sign her. I was the same way with Killer Mike though. I remember that day after he recorded that Snapping and Trapping verse, and I came to work that next day and Big was playing it in the studio. I was like, we're signing him, right? He was like, yeah. He was phenomenal then. But like with Janelle too, I was like, man, we have to sign her.
Wow.
And I just kept pursuing her till we got the deal done.
So you got the deal. What album did she have? An album actually come out under Purple Ribbon as well?
She didn't have an album come out, but she had a song, maybe 2 songs. There's an album called Purple Ribbon All Stars.
Yep.
We had the single Kryptonite.
Well, I remember that.
And she has a song, maybe 2 songs on that album. I don't remember, but I know she has at least 1 song on there.
Okay. Cool breeze. And then how did she get out of that? If you can talk about it. And then I believe she went to, what did she go? She went with Puffy?
Bad Boy. Mm-hmm.
Bad Boy? Uh-huh. How did she get out and go to Bad Boy? Was it contentious? Was it just time for her to go? Was it just the end of her contract?
I actually wasn't working with them, with Purple Ribbon anymore by the time she left, but I think her deal expired. I don't know.
Okay.
I think that's what it was.
Yeah. Okay. So we're almost done. Guaranteed. We're almost done. This has been an honor. I'm talking about an honor.
I really enjoyed this.
I'm glad you did. I was hoping so. I want to talk about the person who you've been with the longest. The one who, when I hear the story, it exemplifies who you are in loyalty, in your ability to hold people, to do what that quote said, give everything you can to make someone else look good. KP, from the beginning till now, my Lord, how long have you been partners and behind and pushing this awesome executive and artist? How long has it been?
It's been a long time, at least 2 decades. At least 2 decades.
Yeah.
We started at LaFace. I was a receptionist when he came in.
I'll leave it there. Go ahead.
I was going to say, KP believed in me first.
Yeah.
KP believed in me first.
And guess what? He has reaped the reward of that. You're still here. Many people would have said, all right, man, I've done all I can with you. Let me see if I can go here or there with it. That partnership is unheard of in the music business. Okay, the Big Boy and Andre can't even stay together that long. I mean, my God.
Oh, that's so funny. Well, we separated for a while, but we still came back together.
When he went to Columbia.
When he went to Columbia, I went to work with Outkast, and he went to Columbia.
They ain't number 5, 6 years. They ain't number 5, 6 years.
I know, right?
Come on now.
Man, let me tell you, man, I had been the receptionist at LaFace for 3 years, and I just wanted to move up to another position.
Yeah.
But I realized in being the receptionist that there was a lesson I had to learn before I could grow. So let me tell you, I think I've told this story before, but I'll say it again. Every day at between 2:30 and 3 o'clock, the phones would just be off the hook. Kids, they phone. Hello? Is that you there? Let's be Tony Braxton. TLC, come to my birthday party. So from 3 o'clock, 2:30 and 3 o'clock on to about 6 o'clock.
How you get this number?
I am taking calls, but I'm like mad about it, right?
Yeah.
And one day I realized that, Regina, your lesson in this is patience.
I heard that.
I had to garner myself and get patience and understanding that they were children, right? Yeah. They don't know. Right. They're just calling. So you be patient and deal with them and, talk to them and explain to them, hey, this cannot happen, right?
Right.
Once I got that lesson, KP came to work for LaFace and he needed an assistant. And Dorsey at the time knew that I wanted to move up, so he mentioned it to KP. KP and I talked, and he interviewed me, and I went on, left the front desk, hooray, and went to work with KP. But we were at one point we were so close then, right? I remember because he had a Southern accent and it was really thick then. So I had to listen really intently to understand, right? But we worked in the same office. So we got so close that people would come in sometime and they would talk to him, and then he would leave the room. They were like, what did he
say?
Here go me. Oh, he said such and such.
You were the translator.
It was so awesome though. And I remember when I left LaFace to go work with Outkast, man, that was heart-wrenching. Because we had been together and so tight for so long.
Yeah.
But
it must have been a really brave move or felt brave move to say, you know what, I'm gonna go out here even though I've been doing this for so long. Did he have a problem with it? Was it like, oh?
He was like, go ahead. Go ahead.
Of course.
It's okay. And guess what happened later, though? 6 months later, LaFace was gone.
Wow.
Gone. LA left and went to work with Ariston.
There it is. That's a story we'll get into with someone else.
Thank you.
We'll get into. I won't do you like that, only because we don't have time.
Yay!
I would like some intricate in and outs of that, simply because, you know what? There's a lack of, and we're ending on this, there's a lack of music business education in music schools. Most of the people who will be watching this, who watch the channel, and most of the people in my circle, people who I know who do music, are woefully, including me, just woefully undereducated in what labels do, what the admin does, what is the A&R really, what does A&R even mean, what are those words, what do lawyers do, how are these contracts, what are you supposed to pay, who runs the tour, who makes sound for the tour, how do you get them paid, what is the points that this person gets for blah. There's like no education on any of that, so that's kind of why we go into those things here. What do you think about that? Do you agree?
No.
Oh, okay, talk about it.
I think that there is education, and it's self-education.
In music schools, I'm only saying because I went to Georgia State School of Music and Georgia Southern School of Music, and because go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
So because I focused on music education, not music performance. None of it. Nothing about that I learned. People who were in performance, nothing about it they learned. Really, like there was the minor basics. It was talking to people like you and Tony that taught me more than anything I learned in music school, literally. But go ahead with what you were saying now.
I think I agree with you on music school because to me, in my opinion, the best education is hands-on entertainment as far as music. I do think that you can do some self-educating because there are lots of books out there that talk about the deals, talk about the label structure. I think sometimes some people take advantage of it and others don't. But I do think hands-on experience is definitely more realistic than education.
Gotcha.
Or school, I should say. But there's lots of information out there. I think we need to take more time to read. We're in a hurry up state in the world, but we need to take more time to read because the information is there. And I don't mean read what's on the internet because you need to decipher
what's real,
and what's real and what isn't. So. Yeah. I mean, read books, listen to books. Like, still lots of education, lots of things to learn, lots of dreaming, and a pathway and a written books that are written to keep you or push you along or encourage you or confirm you on the path you want to be.
Awesome. Regina Davenport, Queen, and to be honored as such, Regina Davenport. Oh man, it's been a blast. I'm done. I will leave you alone. It's been an hour and a half.
Wow.
Yeah, and it went by that fast. That was
awesome.
You've gotten your flowers from me. You deserve them all. Please keep letting your light shine. Do not be a stranger. Go Niners. And
I can't hear you.
I got something more. I need some drink.
You see it behind me. Bang, bang, Niners.
I see. That's what you decided to put up. Are you still? How many years?
Always representing for the Bay. I'm gonna always be from the Bay.
Man,
But I love it.
Thank you so much. It's been an honor. I will give you your salute, your flowers, and I will see you next time. And
thank you, Doug.
Go ahead. Oh, last thoughts, final words. You have them.
I just want to say thank you. I had an amazing time. I can't believe it's been an hour and a half. I am grateful for the way you decided to approach the interview. I don't think that anyone has done that before. So kudos to you, and I pray that this goes all the way up.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. From your mouth to God's ears. You've been watching the MC's channel, Unscripted. See you next time.